I made this channel for a few reasons. I wanted a place where I can post stream highlights and get more of my point of view out there to people who might not have been there for my stream. And the other side is just my escape from Twitter. I want a place where I can give my point of view, not be held to a platform like Twitter. But I've been afraid to just get in front of the camera and yap, so this is me trying to rectify it. I just wanted to get in front of the camera and just talk about a few topics that I think are important. This topic tends to come up whenever there's a new character that drops, and it's going to be about the placement of the tier list. My hot take is I don't think tier lists are all that important. I don't think they're gospel. They're fun to do, they're fun to talk about, but I think we get too far in the weeds when it comes to placement of a certain character. Look, if I show you guys this tier list, I know off rip there will be someone going, just looking at this straight away, disagreeing with what's on the tier list. And here's the thing, I disagree with it too. If you held my feet to the fire, I would look at it and maybe move some people around. This is not in order, so I don't think Aki's the best character in rank A, nor do I think DJ sucks. Could you argue the fact that Jamie should be in the A rank, Kimberly should be in the A rank, or Sagat should be in the A rank? Yeah, sure. Could I be convinced that Ed should be in S rank or Cammy should be in S rank? Yeah, probably. Maybe Elena should be in B tier. Maybe Manon should be in B tier. Most of these things are going to be up to personal interpretation. I think Guile is OP as hell. I play Jury. I think Guile, Ryu are just absolutely annoying to deal with. And I'll talk a bit about why I put some people in certain ranks in a bit. One thing I'm not going to do is argue the order in which someone is in the top 3 or top 5. If we agree, and this is just for demonstration purposes, if we agree that the top 3 are Mai, Terry, and JP, if we agree to that, I'm not going to argue who's 1, who's 2, and who's 3. Obviously, any of those characters are going to be really high tier. It doesn't serve anyone to argue placement in that way. I'm not going to say Rashid is one of the best characters in the game versus he actually is the best character in the game. I rate him really high, and I think that's all that matters. Some people put Chun-Li in the top tier. Some people put Zangief in the highest tier. But the way that I look at the tier list is going to be who is at the very top, who's at the very bottom, and then everyone in between, fight amongst yourselves. I don't think it matters because Cammy's out here winning. Blanca's out here winning. Ken's are out here winning. Guile, Ed, DJ, still all great characters. But in my point of view, there definitely is a level above them. And those are going to be characters like Mai, Terry, JP, Rashid, Akuma, and M. Bison. M. Bison, I can move down, but I think his overall kit's still very, very strong. I threw this tier list together in under 3 minutes. What's my problem with tier lists if I'm actually going to make one? My issue with tier lists is that they don't tell the whole story. And partially because in Street Fighter 6, it's not as important as previous games. Matchups matter, but they're not as prevalent as they were in previous games because of the fact that the drive system is just so strong. Street Fighter 4 had really hard matchups, but Street Fighter 5 introduced systems that kind of normalized the cast. Your character could be really bad, but once they got V-Trigger, it changed the whole game. And that could have been the difference between a 7-3 matchup and turning it into a 6-4 matchup, or turning a 6-4 matchup into like a 5.5, 4.5. I'm also not going to argue decimals either. Is it even or is it harder than even? That's all I care about. So when I say this next part, understand that I have to say it with like a roll of the eyes because the system kind of takes care of it, but this doesn't talk about matchups and how they interact with each other. Meaning if we were to take Jury's placement at A tier, and I feel decent in talking about Jury because I know the character. In my opinion, this character could never be considered S rank in the current landscape of the game. If we look at where I put the bottom tier, it's all characters that I don't think have really good projectiles. Yeah, Dalsim has one, but like understand, I'm not as afraid of Dalsim's fireball than I am, say, Chun-Li. Sagat has a fireball, but Sagat's one of the few characters in the game where I actually can throw one and it will clash. So I can interact with him. I can block it low and to punish. There's like ways around it. And like, I feel that if it's up to me to get around that, I don't think it's that bad. But this matchup is new. It's hard for me to talk about. But this character can never be top tier with characters in the game like Mai, Terry, JP, Rashid, Akuma, Aki, Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Guile, Luke, Ed, DJ. It's like all these characters here have a fireball. And I think that's valuable in this game. And even though I think Jury goes even with like a majority of the cast and actually beats a lot of these characters down here, I don't think you could consider this character to be S tier when she has to contend with these characters up here. Even though I don't think that these are the worst matchups, and I think that some of them, there's a very big hole in how you play against them. And there's things that you can exploit against them. With the existence of all of these characters here, you can't put her in the S tier. Because of her relationship to the game and how she deals with the characters in the top tier, and the same tier that she's in, they would have to give her insane buffs to get around all of the things that she can be exploited with. This is something a tier list is not going to tell you. All people see when they see this tier list is this character is good, this character isn't. And that's kind of good for a lot of people. If they want to find a character that they think is good and just kind of go with them, a tier list will kind of give you a general idea of strength. You can't go wrong with any of these characters here. If you want to learn to play the game and you pick one of these, you're in good shape. If you pick any of them, you have to understand that you're going to be strong in some places, but you're going to be weak in other places. Sagat still kind of like the Joker of the batch because we don't really know as much yet. He's good and has his pockets of strength, but like, it's weird the way that he plays. I call these characters here the unlovables. These are the characters that like don't just spam low forward into drive rush and like win, or their game plan isn't based around that. Like they're based around some kind of gimmick. Oddly enough, kind of feels that way. Long limbs, really slow, but like plays a really weird high-low. Some of his moves are plus on block, but they can be crouched. Has always been known as like a really good zoner, but like surprisingly easy to punish. For someone that I always felt is like a space denial character, they tried to make him very rushdown. And in some cases, I think that like he just has inherent strength in places that a character like Jury should have. He's weird and it's still very early, but the character is cool as hell. They did a great job with the design of the character. Now, the other thing I've seen is that some people will put like half the cast in the S tier. And I know what they're trying to go by, and I think Snake Eyes is the one who did. I'm gonna see if I could find it. So Snake Eyes put out this tier list, and it's pretty similar to what I showed. But there's like notable exceptions. Like he puts Zangief all the way down here, and that very well may be true at the current time because he did get a lot of nerfs. He separates E Honda from the batch and puts Dhalsim all the way up here. But the thing that I want to show you most of all is the fact that he separates half the cast in the S tier, the other half of the cast in S minus, and then these in like A and A plus. And I understand what he's saying. He's saying that all the characters in the game are good. There's no character in the game that is like really bad. So if you think about it, everyone is at least A tier. And I agree to some extent, but he is putting, what is that, 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 out of the 27 of the cast is in a rank above A tier. That's just silly. And this is what I mean. It's like we've like lost the plot when it comes to tier lists. What does it mean to be S tier if like literally 3/4 of the cast is S tier? It is Big Cap in Big 2025 to look at me in my beautiful green eyes and say Elena is on the same level as Guile. That's just insane. Not only is she on the same level as Guile, but she is in a rank higher than A with Guile. What are we doing? Everyone is S tier. What does it mean to be S tier? Now, as I said, tier lists are relative. So like, what does it matter if someone is in the S tier or the S minus tier if he's clearly saying that, say, Kimberly is not as good as Mai and M-Buds of Bison is clearly better than Luke? If this tier list said S tier, A tier, A minus tier, and B tier, I'd be fine with it. I might disagree with Kimberly and Elena and Dhalsim being in the same class as Chun-Li, Luke, and Jury, but I can be convinced of that as well. Like, stand on something, believe in something, stop playing things so safe. If we're talking about tournament viability, then like, of course, like anyone in the S and the S minus tier can win. But that's not what you're saying. You're talking about character strength, and it's relative. I don't think characters in the A plus and the A tier can exist even close to the characters in the S tier. And if any of us agree with that, then you cannot put them in A tier. Let's be frank. I'm going to be Kail. You can be Frank. I don't care. These characters down here are not playing the same game. And it's weird too, because a lot of the characters down there are grapplers. I mean, Jamie, no, but you get what I'm saying. These characters exist and they flourish because of the threat of a command grab. So again, I'm not going to sit here and like debate on the placement of Cammy in the S or the S minus, or in my case, the S tier or the A tier. But what I will argue is, how the hell do we put Dhalsim in S minus? That's crazy. Dhalsim and Elena can't even reversal level 1 to get out of a meaty DI. Get them out of there. And that's why I have my tier list laid out in the way that I do. So getting back to my tier list, if you're playing anyone in the S tier, you're good to go. If you're playing someone in the A tier, you're still good to go. But a few of them might have a hard time with some matchups. Notable outliers are going to be characters like Cammy, Ken, but it's not going to hurt you to have a Pocket Terry. Some of them, I could be convinced, could be S tier. Absolutely. Some of them, I could be convinced, could be A tier. I could be convinced of any of these three in A tier. It will be a lot harder to convince me that any of these characters are in A tier, though. And the final point that I want to give off is like, the reason why I didn't take long and think about this and put a lot of weight into this tier list is because I have the characters at the top, I have the characters at the bottom, and you have a lot of noise in the center. Tier lists are supposed to invoke conversation, and I think that's not a bad thing. And I'll go over this in a different video, but part of the problem is that we're not really talking these days. A lot of people are just trying to be the main character. They know the most, they know everything. Myself included, I could be stubborn, but I love hearing different points of views and given information to back that up. Not anecdotal things, not personal feelings about it. If it was a different tier list about what characters you don't like to fight, that's different. If you come to me and you say Jury should be in the top tier, and I ask you, why do you think that? I have a lot of reasons that keep her out of the S tier, and you say sometime a few years ago, someone won $1 million, and because of that, she can never be considered outside the S tier. I just have to say cap. That doesn't tell me anything about the character, that just gives me a result. Does that make sense? Anyway, those are just some of my thoughts on tier lists and why I don't put a lot of weight into them. If you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Having conversations like this is super important to me. If you want to join the Discord, link will be in the description. And if you want to send me a tip for any of the content that I've made that you found value, you can always send a tip with the link in the description. No pressure. Thank you for watching to the end. Tell your loved ones that you love them, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.